Okay. I think I was
Bro,
wrapping
I
up.
think the call ended. So
Yeah,
they
the
all
call the call ended by because the internet itself went off. The whole
so it has
down.
dropped everybody off the call. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yes, please. Realize. It shut down everything. The internet went down. Totally. I think they tried to get in touch with Paul. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you. Well, guys. Okay, so please, I was saying something. Those of you who are listening, don't know where I reached. I got to the banking side on my side, and I realized, yes, so I want to rush it up. Give me 2 minutes to end the class. Hey, boys, let me wrap it up. Okay, let's continue. Those who are here. So another version is this one called I'm looking at IT policies of the Highland Bank. Highland Bank has a policy that says that core. The Highland Bank respects the privacy of all consumers. If you prefer not to receive consumer-related direct marketing communications from Highland Bank, you Highland banks do not call list or Highland banks do not mail list. And the do not call list or do not mail list is actually at the marketing department. What is interesting is that this is not a direct IT policy, but it needs IT to make it run or to make it to enforce the policy. What am I trying to say? The do not call policy says that we should do a database that will have people can opt to that if I don't want my be called by the bank, I don't want to be contacted mailing. My name the bank does not do that with me. So the bank's communication with me will not be by phone and will not be by mail. It will be in person. Now it's a do not call policy, but it's a policy that is enacted by IT. IT is what will allow you to technology is what you are to opt in or opt out of it. So sometimes we in organizations we may end up developing policies that are not directly under the IT policy, but they are IT related. So marketing department may be doing a policy, for instance, social media policy. It may not sit in your IT policy, but it is related to with you. So you also have a part to make sure that you contribute to that social media policy. That's what I was trying to point out. So do not call policy, for example, here is an example. Is one. Another one is like in a bank, e-sign act policy. This is what I was talking to. I was explaining to Kenneth earlier. The e-sign act is in a bank, provides a general rule for validity of electronic records and signatures for transactions in or affecting interstate or foreign commerce. E-sign allows the use of electronic records to satisfy any statute, regulation, or rule of law requiring that information be provided in writing if the consumer has affirmatively consented to the use or has not withdrawn such consent. So he may sign electronically. If that is the case, that means that the Electronic Transactions Act of that country has to be in play. Because the only way a bank can call an e-sign act is because their data are legal legally used or accepted in that institution in that country. So you can have a policy at the bank at the institutional level, but it gets its legality from the national policies. Okay. Now, those of you who want to know how to develop policies, there's a website called an institute called the Sans Security Sans Institute. They develop sample policies and do training in policies, IT policies. They develop sample policies, several of them, and people can be able to use to gain understanding of how to develop policy. And they have sample templates there. So if you visit them online, if you look for Science Institute, them can share it with you. I'll put it in the WhatsApp page. I'll also put it in the chat room here. Or some of you are here. Good. The science policy like this has all set of different types of policies that you can acceptable encryption policy, acceptable use policy, data breach response policy, data recovery plan policy, data signature acceptance policy. So if your company doesn't have one of these, you can pick one of these templates and use it direct. And they have PDF and Word versions so that you can edit it as much as you want to edit it. They have network security policy. So that the general policy is the network security policy. Then they have the server security policy and the application security policy. First, and then they also have the very old policies that some institutions don't use anymore, but it may be relevant for Ghana, like email retention policy, employee internet use policy, antivirus guidelines, server audit policy, dial-in access policy, internet usage policy, mobile device encryption policy. All these are policies, templates that are on the website. So if you go to the website, for example, let me quickly show the website here. So the website is here, cybersecurity policies. Under free resources, you will see templates, policy templates. Please, when you click on it, you get all the templates are here, all the templates. Like let's say access management policy, the Word version and the PDF version. So those of you who are asking me that if I want to develop a policy, other institutions of repute, and I'll combine them to develop policy for Ghanaian companies. Yeah. But make sure that you also interview the Ghanaian company, otherwise it may not be relevant to them. Internet user standard policy, that's also there. So there are quite a number of different policies for different institutions. Okay. Now, sometimes an institution has got standards. For example, this is a classroom technology standard, that what is allowed in a classroom. So depending on what you are doing, you can just Google and look for what other institutions. This is a standard technology. So if you're building something like an e-classroom or a classroom which is a digital classroom, like what we have in a business school right now, you can have a policy, a standard of what is required. So a screen manual, an LCD projector, a Creston touch panel. That's for maybe for using to, even some of them have got annotation tablet by it, so you can write on it, and an LCD input monitor, a classroom technology station, and then one at the projector, one for the computer, and one for the laptop that will come, and then others for the students, Blu-ray player, and the HD document camera. Now the HD document camera is a kind of a camera that has, you can put white paper on it and to project it on the screen. I've seen a number of institutions, and an audio system. Yeah. And each of them, they have specifications on how to use and how to set them up, which has to do with more of the like the standards that expects you in terms of specification that expects you to be able to use them. Okay, so then they have email address and use rules in some institutions. They to the administrative section of the policy or the standard, then they go to the purpose and scope, and then the statements of what should be. So, for example, some of them have the name of the way the email should be constructed: first name hyphen middle name initial dot last name. Will give you the at Western Michigan dot edu. Will give you the name of the email. And the same thing for faculty: first name dot last name at the same thing dot edu. So the email password, email policies can define the name, how we name emails or how we form emails in the institution. Then there can be a password policy that tells you about how to create passwords and what should go into the password creation. For example, I think I read this to you earlier that pick a phrase, take initials and replace some of those letters with the numbers and other characters and mix up the capitalization. For example, this may be one way to remember. TMBOWTR is coming from that sentence. And then they add one character, a hyphen, exclamation mark, and they mix the letters up and down. So this is within their policy for for password or how to be able to do that. Yeah. And remember that in the password, they have a guideline, one recommended method. That's a guideline. That's not a rule that you have to adhere to. What a recommended. They use the word recommended. But the password should be a standard. So within the policy, you are seeing standard statements, you are seeing policy statements, guideline statements. A password should be is a standard. One recommended is a guideline. All of them in one big document called the password policy. I just wanted to show you. Okay. Social media policy. Social media policy also points out that you could also what should go into social, what is allowed and what's not allowed. Now, this is a generic document or what you should consider when you're developing social media policy. But if you scroll down, I have examples from Adidas. Adidas social media policy guidelines. These are guidelines. And then they even tell you what you can do online. But one thing they say, which is very good, is that this means that everything you put online will be available for everybody for a very long time. Common sense is a huge factor here. If you're about to publish something that makes you even the slightest bit uncomfortable, review. So even though they have done the policy, they say you are personally responsible for the content you publish on blogs and stuff. And that you should also tell her that these postings, the postings on the website are my own and do not represent the position of Adidas. They want you to be able to state that, especially if it's closer to home, it's closer to what they do. You go and comment on Reebok's new shoes. Make sure that you have put a disclaimer there, that somebody track and say you are officially talking on behalf of the committee, the team. No, you are not official, because in the policy, only very few people in this company are official spokesmen for the group, persons for the group or their brands. Now, even news stations have their own internet and social media policies, like Reuters. Reuters is a media company for news, and they also have their own policy. Then from there, we can also have, I told you about IT tech policy of a bank. You can have that one. That will have, if something happens, how do you report it? Incident response handling. All of them are captured there. Then technical requirements for a website. If this is for a bank, what is required? What the website should have. When you say requirements, you're talking about standards. The code of conduct for a financial institution. This may not be an IT, but it applies to IT employees too. For example, speaking up. You should have a responsibility. You have the responsibility to speak up when you see behavior or a process or a system you are not comfortable with at work. For example, somebody trying to hack the system or trying to use the website, the internet resources for something that is not supposed to be used for. So you can speak up, or they can have a platform in which you can report the person quite without being identified. So they will know that it's coming from you, but nobody will know, apart from the IT unit or apart from somebody maybe in the senior management will know. But you can report in safety or in secret, and then your identity is protected. Okay. Then you also have bring your own device policy. Some institutions in Ghana have it. Policy to guide you. So there's a template here in case you don't have one for your organization. I picked this one from, I think, the Science Institute. So you can also use this one to guide you to develop your own policy. Okay. So I'll share this chapter with you later so that you can look at some of the samples. Lastly, you can have acceptable use policy. We saw the same thing in the Science Institute. I picked that one from the security policy template or from Science, and I use it to develop one for OT company. So as you mentioned, Kenneth, the guidelines, the structure seems the same, that the content is what differs. And at the end, you should also reference other policies in the institution. So Kenneth, you are right about that.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Then the network connection policy. Please, all this I'm showing you can be a very big opportunity for you. Ghanaian companies, many of them don't have policies, or they don't have policies which are well developed to be industry standard. So you can help, or you can consult on that areas as you finish your program. You and your friends can team up as a a policy think tank and be helping them develop their own policies. Now, if you ever develop a policy for Ghana, a Ghanaian company, always after you have developed the policy, find out that could there be any national policy that can inform this policy? Is there any statement in the Electronic Transaction Act, Cybersecurity Act, and then the Data Protection Act that can inform or affect this policy? Good. So that's where I'll end at. Once you have another class. Somebody will say that Prof is talking plenty, but what about University of Ghana's policies? If you go to the website, you will find them. You struggle to find them. We struggled yesterday to locate them. So we realized that they are under public administration, the public affairs department. So if you type University of Ghana policies, you find them at the public affairs unit. So that's where these are there. Not all of them, but quite a number of them are there. So the IT policy is there, the plagiarism policy is there, but the new ones, the AI policy is not there, but it's in the platform. It's in your Sakai. I put it there. Then I turn it in policy to is here. Very interesting. If you read it, you find very interesting things that will guide you when you are doing your long essay. The marketing communications policy is here, the internship policy, modern slavery statement. Hey, this one you should show it to the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Then there is a customer service policy, anti-corruption policy, innovation policy, IT policy. The IT policy in UG is a little bit slim in terms of its scope. When I opened it for the other class, they saw that it covers about only 4 things: the acceptable use policy, the email policy, then the UG website policy, and IT procurement policy, and bring your own device policy. So about 6 things. Yeah. Oh, then security guidelines for all. So 7. Security guidelines for all, 1. UG website policy, 2. IT procurement policy, 3. Bring your is it 2 or 1, 2, 3? Okay, right. 4. Bring your own device policy, 4. Email policy, 5. And then acceptable use policy, 6. So about 6 policies are there. But we saw so many from other universities. So many from other universities. Okay, so this is just to guide you. If you want to see them, you can go there. Now they have put all the policies together. So the version control and everything covers everything here. But under every section, they have the key terms: overview, purpose, policy. Then the policy statements will come. And then the end of the policy will come somewhere. Communication, privacy. Then we go to email policy, ownership of the policy. The University Council owns the policy. The Chief Information Officer of City of University of Ghana is responsible for maintaining. Remember, I told you that corporation, in case you have issues about the policy, who should you contact? They put their phone number and everything here. They put the IP phone number, the email address, and then who you should contact. This is good. University of Ghana has done very well. At least they have put these things in there to contact. This is standard practice, Kenneth, like what we saw in other ones. Then they go to the email policy. I think there were different policies and they just put together to approve all of them together. Yeah. Because at the same thing, at the end, they have the disclaimer at the end for the email policy. Thank you very much. So I've finished. Those of you want to join the other class. I see two hands here. Kus, and then I saw somebody else too. I think Derek, yeah. Kus, what's the issue?
Yes, please. Prof, I have a question.
Yes,
One of
please.
the things I understood from this lecture is that we are essentially trading some of our privacy for the convenience and benefit of digital services.
Yes, sir.
And I would like to ask, how much personal data collection is justified? And also, if institutions like Samsung has taken more of my personal data, is there any other institution to verify that, or no one can check that?
Wow. Okay, so for Samsung one, you can request that your information should be revoke their access to it. And then if you go through the European Union, you are European, you can also request to see what they have about you in terms of the phone that you have been accessing with them. I think that is in the policy that you can request. And then you can also revoke. That one is there. But if you revoke, you are revoking the services too. That's the difficulty that we have. So with some, but Ghana, I'm not sure. But Ghana, you can request through the Data Protection Act. I know that's also the Data Protection Act has certain rights of the data subject. You are the data subject, and the data subject per certain circumstances has the right to request. I even showed you some students concern their hospital one for their for the Data Protection Act. There's a clause for your health data which you can request. I think so. I remember. If I remember very, very well, Data Protection Act. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah. So there are certain things you can request. The data subject has the right to request.
Thank you, Prof.
But you have to make the data subject aware. 35 plus 35. Right to access your personal data is inside. Let me just quickly show to those who are interested. So 35, right of access to your personal data. Data Protection Act on Ghana. So that's why 35. This is 45. So let's go 35. Then there are other sections for health data and other ones too. A data controller shall inform an individual who is the data subject of processing of the individual personal data by the data controller. So University of Ghana is the data controller. They are using your student, your information. So they have to inform you. That's one. Give to the data subject a description of what you are picking from me. My personal data, the purpose for which you are picking that data, and then the who you are going to share, disclose that data with. I think Samson said it in their listen. Communicate in an intelligible form. Don't not in code and stuff. To the data subject, the information which constitute the personal data, and the information which is available to the data controller. So you are right. Inform the individual who the data subject of the logic and the rationale for the decision that was made based on. In case you made decision based on my decision, you have to inform me. Okay. Then I want the one that gives you your right. Okay. So here's more about the data control, the person picking it up. Look at it here. Okay. There's a statement here for the purposes of subsection 13 to determine whether a request for data by a subject you can request by a data subject to a data control has been made with reasonable interval. Regard shall be made to the nature of the data, the purpose. So you have the right to request. Actually, you have the right to request. Have the right to request. And the data they can also judge whether they responded to you on time. An individual who makes requests under this section may specify that the request is limited to personal data of any description. Subject to subsection 5. A data controller shall comply with the request under this section promptly and in event within 40 days. So please, you have it there. You have it there.
Thank you, Prof.
But you see, you have to know what is in the thing before you go and talk. Because somebody can also use another section to counter you. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so we are ending here. Thank you very much. And thanks for participating. I enjoyed myself.
Thank you, Prof.